All right. Should be up and running here. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the long weekend here. Pretty interesting day as we see the Bulls challenge the daily resistance. And we did identify a little bit of change in tone on Friday going into the weekend. All right, but we'll talk a little bit more about it. Let's get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for July 5th, 2022. Qs up 1.7%, leading the indices here. SPY able to make it back up on the day while being down most of the day, and then IWM up 0.83. All right. So initial gap down here on the Qs, and it looked weak. SPY stayed a little bit weaker throughout the day. Did a little bit of a retest there off the lows before getting the rally and joining the Qs and SPY, or the IWM and Qs, into positive territory. Okay. So what does that mean for tomorrow? We could see a shift to bullishness. Okay, we need to break above today's high and hold. All right, and then we can anticipate this being a higher low here on the Qs. All right, so I'm gonna be neutral going into tomorrow. Need to see the bullishness at least hold. If we move up and hold, all right, that would be more and more bullish. Even if we stay up in this range and just go sideways, even sideways, we don't back off too much, would be bullish. Okay, because if the more that we base at this resistance here, the more bullish. We noticed on Friday that the SPY did resume that uptrend. Okay, that we got that deep pullback and then broke that pivot there to the left, the hourly sell setup that we talked so much about last week. Now, the daily sell setup is still in play here, okay, on this daily, which is why I'm not bullish yet, okay? So this lower high here in the context of this larger downtrend here, still in play here, okay? And anything below today's low, really this low, this base on the hourly, is back to all-out bearish, right? I think that, to me, is the kind of clear path of least resistance here, that if we break below this, we got probably a pretty big drop coming, and it'll just be a continuation of this daily and weekly right sell-off that we've been in all year. Okay, so that to me is kind of the easiest call. Now if we stay up here, if we base, or if we pull to the halfway point, or any other variation of price action, is going to be a little bit trickier. Okay, so even if we move up, right, the next area we're going to be moving up into that daily sell setup. Okay, so neutral for me, given where we're at, given what we did today, going into tomorrow, neutral. If we break below the base here, basically the range from the last 3 days, all out bearish. Okay, otherwise, got to see a little bit more. I'm willing to turn bullish, at least for the time being. Anticipate that we get back up to this sell setup. Okay, so that I think is the tougher scenario. That's the trickier scenario. If we do try to move up, try to inch our way back up. Okay, so neutral, and then a break below the lows from the last 3 days, all out bearish. Okay, so a little bit of wait and see here. Hourly's trying to turn up, daily's running into resistance, so into a tough spot there. So a little bit of wait and see here for this week, but we'll keep an eye on it here day by day and see what happens. All right, plays from today. Only play I give you numbers for this morning was the CMRX. All right, CMRX played it as a breakout this morning here. And it started off okay, but I did have higher expectations for this than what it ended up doing. Wanted to see it get to closer to 250, really. Got to 247, or that high was 247, got to 243. I didn't take anything. That was only up about an hour and a half, hour and a third there. Based on that base breakout, I used as tight a stop as I thought I could. And now I was expecting more, especially as the market started to turn the corner. Thought I'd get more out of it. Ended up losing like a penny or two on it because once it created this little pivot here, I trailed underneath that. So yeah, unfortunately wasn't able to get anything out of this CMRX, because I thought, today was the day, was showing a lot of relative strength, had expected something closer to 250. And then if we broke into 250, right, then I can start looking for the maybe the next run up to 265. So I really wanted, if this was going to go today, if today was going to be the day, which, we did get the volume today in this, not as big as this day, but I liked the way it looked, thought it had a lot of potential there. Very similar setup to the CLVS on Friday. So you can also see why I didn't want to get out of the CMRX too early. And so that's why I really wanted to stick with it for as long as it was going to stay in an uptrend. It just didn't give quite enough for me to lock some in. So lost a little bit on that CMRX. As far as scalps go, I thought they were pretty tough today. Really, for me anyway, is really only the ACHR. Every time it set up a base here and actually triggered, you would get a little bit of follow through. It just never was that continuous. Nothing like kind of the ZH that we saw here at the end of the day when that broke out. Nothing quite as big a move as that. So as long as you were kind of in and out on the ACHR, you didn't stick around for too long on each of the pops, ended up being pretty decent and pretty easy to read on the ACHR. But there wasn't a lot of that today. I thought scalps were hard. I thought the gap plays weren't easy either, as you saw. CMRX ended up losing a little bit on this, even though it was kind of up, kind of nice at the beginning. But I was looking for more. And then, yeah, a lot of scalps kind of just would give you a penny and then take it away. And I thought overall today was a pretty tough day, not an easy day. So hopefully, we get some of this, this indecision that we're seeing in the market, where we got kind of an attempt by the hourly to move up, daily still in a tough spot. Once maybe some of that resolves itself, maybe we'll get a little bit more follow through. We also have earnings season coming up soon. So once that gets started, we'll also be looking at a lot more gaps. All right. So, it may be just kind of one of those days after a long weekend here, after a holiday, where a little bit more choppiness today. But definitely didn't think it was easy. All right. So we'll see how this time frame conflict between the hourly and the daily plays out, all right, as the week moves forward. All right. And I'll talk to you guys again tomorrow. Have a good evening.